What's up, everybody? My name's Dave, and I'm here with Rudy and TEDx, and we are here going to talk about Mizuchi today. But before we do that, what's up, guys? Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Everybody coming from their great sleep.
Yeah, the slumbers of Christmas.
Yeah, I didn't even want to open my computer. There's certain times in my life when it's like, shutting the computer and kind of walking away for a few days is actually... I still looked at my phone and the charts, but I didn't open the whole computer.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's like you gotta balance everything out. Like real life, especially around the holidays, spending time with family, it's so important. And then coming back with a clear head, that's number one. So I took a couple days off myself and I'm back.
Yeah, time for goals, man. I got a couple whiteboards. I've been outlining my day and like my year and my weeks, and just really trying to like start the daily affirmations again, and like certain things that can take us to the next level. I do like the beginning of the year because it kind of slows down a little bit, allows us to think and process and plan, because 2025 is going to be a big year. And yeah, man. So how you doing, Ted?
I'm doing great, man. Just kind of rebounding. We had a house full, man. I mean, a house full. And so everybody started shedding Christmas Day. People started leaving. So some trips to the airport and everything. But no, man. It was good. I mean, I tried to break away a little bit, but I kept nudging Rudy, even though he was trying to take a break. I was like, crickets. It was quiet. It was quiet around Christmas. Let's just say that. But actually, I sat down this morning, finally got some sleep, and fired up the computer. I said, all right, let's get some shit done. So
exactly,
let's do it.
Yeah, I even like the ideas for the white papers and stuff, I allowed it all just to kind of like, all right, I'm gonna quiet this down for a few days, and it's gonna kick back in the gear basically like right now. Like
right this minute, actually.
It's okay. I took a few days, so that was good.
Yep. Boss is back to work.
When you're in the creative process, I think it's really important to take a step back. Like I know that you're working on a ton of stuff, Dave, and we've been working on a ton of stuff. And sometimes when you take a step back, those are when the best ideas come, right? I mean, I worked and produced music for a long time, and whenever I would feel like too much into it, I would always take a step back and then reattack it from a different angle and always have a better result in the end. And, I think that this time of year is a really good way to kind of take a step back and reset. And going into 2025, I mean, we have a lot to look forward to, not only in crypto, but in life, just like personal development, all of that. I feel like, sometimes you get lost in the sauce, and you need a little bit of time just to realign and get refocused and keep building.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, actually, one of the goals that obviously we have is to get the launch underway. But the more like Rudy was right from the start. When we kind of dove into this, he's like, it's kind of like a virus. Once you're in it, unless you've been inoculated, you're screwed. It's kind of true, because now I'm already forward thinking in a way that I didn't anticipate. So yeah, 2025 could be quite adventurous in many capacities. So
yeah,
I'm excited forward to it.
We're all building, and it's like, but building doesn't just snap your fingers and it's done. Like building is a process with a team. And so, it takes multiple amounts of months really to do things to really launch quality projects. And so, it's all in this anticipation of it. We're all building, but then we needed this break because, obviously this I can find myself getting obsessed with this stuff. And when I get obsessed with this stuff, it's like I kind of put everything else. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
So it's like there is those times when family, holidays come around. You're like, yeah, well, you got to remember what life's all about. Why are we even doing this? Why are we trying to capitalize on the bull market that's coming? It's for our family. It's for the future of what we're planning on doing with our lives. And I think it's just that's why pretty much I would say that's why most of us are in it. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was one of the reasons anyway.
Yeah, I would consider that an accurate statement, and I would call that like the fever state of the virus that Rudy was telling me about. You know, you go up and you go down. You know, it's like a fever. You know, sometimes you take a little break, you just go on cruise, and all of a sudden it just starts flowing, and you can't stop.
True, and that was once you launch something. I mean, if you're a builder in your heart and you build, if you don't just talk about it and you just do it, you're not going to stop for the most part. You know, the people that kind of talk about building and hey, if you're talking about building, it's kind of a hard thing to take that jump if you've never done it before. But
Yeah.
there's also a sense like you did. What did you do? You found a partner, someone who could actually walk through this with you and was passionate about it, focused on the same goal with you. And look, that's how things happen. It happens with, you know, great ideas, but also then great partnerships.
It took almost a year. Honestly, it did.
Wow.
I mean, it was just a process of getting to know the founders and the builders and, you know, just the community as a whole. And through that process, that helped fuel the desire to want to build. And
Yeah.
then the closer you got, and then when you take that leap, that step,
When you
and
take
you
the
actually
step
start
of like
to
dropping the dollars
yeah,
down and you pay those devs, it's like, all right, it's on. There it is.
yeah.
It's on.
But
That's the best
no,
part,
it's
you know, because then you know you got skin in the game, and it's like that race has started now.
oh yeah, yeah. Now the different levels of thought process that you go through once you get to this level, it's insane. It just you're constantly thinking of all the scenarios, the what ifs, the variables, and you know market conditions. You know all these things, these variables, all play such a role in everything you do in your decision making. So fortunately, I have a great partner in Rudy that, you know, he has the experience. He has the, you know, he has the, I should say the connections within, and I think I have connections within as well. And we kind of brought those together
Yeah.
and, you know, and in a way we're kind of uniting other founders and builders together, you know, as well. So that's part of our process. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it is. And you guys are also incorporating other artists and other things that are, you know, building the team out with quality people in every single pocket is really how great things get done. And so that's amazing, man. So how are you feeling, Ted? You know, I mean, it's coming close to this project is gaining some reality to it. It's getting close to becoming, you know, in the public, and you've been marketing it really cool. I love your artwork and your marketing and stuff. So how are you feeling? And yeah, where are you at with all this?
It's a really good question. I wrestle with it in a way, you know. A good example is just like through this process, working with Rudy and our you know our dev, and other people within the community. It's proven to me that this is a system that works. And but as we get closer, you know, we're in this refining process, and it's a lot of back and forth, and you know we're making these decisions, Rudy and I together, and you know that in itself has been really poetic in a sense. And we get to certain points where it's like, you know, we're really trying to finalize a decision on, say, some art, and even though we may say good, done, check, you know, it's like yes, you know, we're making progress, and we really are. um Even though I'm comfortable with those decisions, it's like you still think to yourself, you got one shot, because once you go live, there's no stopping, there's no changing. And so being somewhat of a perfectionist in a way, um, uh, and with my ADHD, you know, I'm constantly roaming the valleys of this this cavernous space looking for answers and options, and being able to just put things to rest, I think, is the biggest hardest part for me, is saying, okay, this is 100% complete, let's move on to the next step.
Yeah.
That to me is the hardest part. But I put a lot of faith in our team, especially our team, because they have the experience and the knowledge.
Yeah, you have a great team, and that's what you do when you hire a great team, or when you not hire, when you start working with a great team.
Yeah,
you have to lean on them, because it's like there's times when, for instance, in the movies, when one executive producer would hire my director, and then they wouldn't listen to the director. He would be saying advice that we've been learning over the last 20 years, but she wouldn't listen to him. So she cast this whole movie without him. She didn't even have a hold of casting. She cast her daughter as the main role, and literally everything fell apart. Like, when someone puts their money in something and then they hire smart people, but then they don't listen to them, that doesn't work. It's like, so it really is a magical thing when you find the right people, and you can all work together towards a singular goal. And like, when you can all work together towards a singular goal, magic stuff happens.
Yeah. And and seeing the progress, it's definitely, it's real world. I mean, the whole process of, building this, it would play out in any real world scenario as well. A well-planned project. There's phases to that project. There's budgets associated with those projects. Our realm is just digital,
For sure. Definitely.
And so
we're not asking anybody else to fund it. We're not coming in sacrifices. So it actually kind of is almost like starting a business.
Yes, exactly.
And create the funding, and then market a fully finished product. We're not marketing the idea of doing a project that people give us money. We're saying, no, we're funding this, and we're going to deliver a completed project that provides value to the community. And that's what every build on TITANX protocol does, really.
Yeah.
So, but that's the ethos. It's just there's something magical about that, what we're doing as a whole, but also the fact that we all started out as community members. We all mined TITANX before we built or bought it off the market, but probably mined it.
Yep. Yeah, those were good days. But no, it's been a great adventure. And getting actually, I think the part that was most convincing for me and made me feel really at peace with this whole process and looking forward to this conversation today actually did occur on Christmas Eve. Because of what we had going on with the family and people from all over the country. We actually had to do our presents on Christmas Eve. So, but I got a gift from my kids, and it floored me because, we're talking, these are, college educated adults, they've seen the world, they live in it, they're independent, but they respect and they believe in what I'm doing, and they see the reality of it actually coming to fruition. So they gave me just this really cool gift, and you see them at carnivals and everything everywhere around, everywhere, but it's just this like 3D printed dragon thing for my desk that they got me.
Cool.
And I opened it, and I thought it was kind of a joke at first, but they were looking at me like, "You like it?" And I was like, "God, I love it," because that kind of said to me that, "Hey, Dad, we believe in what you're doing." And I was like, "Cool, man." So, yeah.
Are they inspired kind of by you and taking the initiative to build?
No, they're just more interested as, hey, does this make us millionaires type stuff or whatever, And I said, the one thing I don't want to be is that guy that shows up on Thanksgiving with the whole crowd looking at him saying, "So how's the crypto million going?" Type of thing. Because I've seen that comment
after
before.
2025, you're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, but I said, it's just, all great things start with small beginnings. Yeah. So that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, that's great. Cool, man. How you feeling, Rudy?
Awesome. Honestly, just leading into the new year, getting that fresh restart on life in general. I always like this time of year. I really do. Just for like a clean beginning, and
Cookies,
we're moving
cakes.
into what's that?
Cookies, cakes, all the above.
But we're really getting into the home stretch on this project. We're in the first audit phase still.
Ooh, cool.
Everything's going super well. I'm really excited about that. And we're going to be moving into second audit shortly after the new year. And after that, it's go time. And once it's out there, it's out there. It's go time.
Do you have a target date, or are you waiting on the target date till your audits are done?
Yeah, we're gonna, in good fashion, we're gonna wait until the audits are 100% done to announce a date. I just think that's the best way to go about it. I don't want to make promises that we can't keep. If we were going to say, oh, it's going to be January XXX, like, there's no use in putting a timer on it. Like we're really just focused on getting the word out there and really trying to help people understand why this protocol is a little bit different than everything else that's been done on TITANX so far. Yes, it incorporates a lot of familiar aspects to things that we've already interacted with, but it presents it in a new way that's really unique, in my opinion. In the coming weeks too, I'll be sharing a lot of alpha via our X handle, Mizuchi Win. Just there's a lot more than meets the eye here, and we'll go through it in the white paper, and that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to put something out there that hasn't been done before, and I'm really excited to paint a green chart. Not financial advice, but I think that in the TITANX space, like a green chart, like something that people can get behind, is going to be really important to kind of give it that shock. I mean, if you guys remember, like when Volt launched, like that brought a lot of people in from outside of the ecosystem into TITANX at that time. And I would like to have that kind of effect when we go live, just having something that people can resonate with and people can feel excited about. And I think that's going to be really important for TITANX in general, just getting new faces in here. And we'll go over the specifics in the white paper, but I'm really excited. We've put a lot of thought into every little piece of this protocol, not only to make something that's like really intelligently designed, but also make something that's beautiful and fun to interact with. So yeah, that's gonna be really cool to get out there. It's like a culmination of a learning experience over the last year and change, over a year, honestly.
Right.
I mean,
you've built multiple products at this point. You're probably 5 or 6 projects in.
Just like, and more so like pieces of projects. Just like I have, I have some things that I've built that I haven't even put out there yet. That's pretty much all done. So yeah, just trying to attack this from all angles, and I mean, this is really like what I'm most proud of is Mizuchi. I think it covers a lot of ground. And I'm just so excited to get it out there finally. Once it hits the blockchain, there's no turning it off. Just let it run, baby.
So let's talk about it. So do you have an elevator pitch? We could jump into the white paper, but what are kind of the bullet points of why Mizuchi is awesome?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why, but essentially, like, Mizuchi starts with an 8-day minting phase of hybrid NFTs, and when you mint a hybrid NFT, what it does is it actually mints tokens to a vault in parallel, so it allows the NFT and the token to be interswappable. And during those 8 days, what's really unique about this is that everybody can get in an equal cost basis, which I think is really important, in terms of fair launch dynamics. So everybody's able to mint at a 1-to-1 ratio with their X28, TITANX, and people can enter with ETH, TITANX, X28, and it all goes and it funnels through X28. So it's going to burn a crap load of TITANX, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. And once the flywheel starts is on day 9. Basically, we have perpetual auctions that start on day 9. And those will go to help fuel the protocol for a very long time. So that's kind of like the really short aspect of it. And once we go through the white paper, I'll share my views and what I think could happen. Again, none of this is financial advice. It's more so, there's a reason behind every little piece of this. And, I'll get into all those little details. Do you have the white paper pulled up, Dave?
You want me to get it out here? I'll get it up.
Yeah. Do you guys have this shared on your socials, by the way?
I do.
Yeah, I think you could share directly from, we got a lot of, I think all you got is sharing, but you can share directly from this, I think. Okay, so if you guys are on X, go to @Mizuchi it's Mizuchi Win. So Mizuchi Win, and give them a follow. And then down here, the pinned post, you could grab the white paper. So just go ahead and click on the pinned post white paper here. All right, so we got the Mizuchi overview. Mizuchi is it's a hybrid project built on X28 in the TITANX ecosystem with a unique system that rapidly reduces supply and strengthens the liquidity of the MZI token by utilizing an 88% buy and burn and fuel mechanism along with a perpetual auction system. Okay, cool. So, all right, we have 8-day minting cycle. And then, we have this entire system is designed to reward long-term holders with a focus on deflation, scarcity, and sustainable value growth. Okay, so there's an 8-day launch period where, is that going to be an auction, an 8-day auction?
It's an 8-day straight mint. So
straight mint. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So people are, this is what we would call like the creation phase. And we really wanted to make a shorter term mint cycle. I think that's important because it instills a bit of FOMO when you have a shorter minting cycle. That was something that I thought was going to be really important because after the minting cycle concludes, obviously we want buyers on the back end to help push up the price, and that's going to only help to keep everything flowing really well. So essentially during these first 8 days is people will mint their hybrid NFT with ETH, TITANX, or X28 at a 1-to-1 ratio with X28. And it basically, when they mint an NFT, they'll receive the NFT in their wallet immediately. And it'll also, the smart contract will also mint Mizuchi tokens to a vault called the Wyrmhole. And essentially what that does, like I said before, is that it allows the NFT, the NFT is always backed by X amount of Mizuchi tokens, depending on which NFT you're minting. And it allows those to become interswappable. So you can, if you have an NFT, you can swap the tokens. Or if you want an NFT, you can swap the tokens to the NFTs. Very similar system that I did with Titan Legends.
So it's not that's cap supply. It's a cap supply after the 8 days, though.
Correct, exactly. So, after day 8, the supply is totally capped. And when we go through the other parts of the protocol and how the auctions work, I'll explain how this is supposed to continually feed itself for a really long time. 88% of everything that goes in gets used to fuel these perpetual auctions. And every time the auction, the buy and burn is triggered, what it does is it actually, and we'll cover this more in depth later, but it not only strengthens liquidity between the TITANX Mizuchi pair, but it also burns a heck of a lot of Mizuchi and feeds a lot of that back into the perpetual auction so that that flywheel can continue. So if you want to
TITANX Mizuchi, or is it X28 Mizuchi? TITANX?
There's actually 2 main liquidity pools, and I'll cover that. The 2 main liquidity pools, one is X28 Mizuchi, and that's where the buy and burn is ran through. And then the other pool is a TITANX Mizuchi pair, which this liquidity injection mechanism is used to make it easier for people to be able to get in and out of the token without creating a lot of sell pressure on the X28 pair, right? So somebody can exit via TITANX very easily. And we thought that would be a good idea. It's a very similar setup to Shogun, I would say, with the 2 pools that they have going, but it kind of creates like this circular effect with the liquidity situation. So we have the X28 pair getting bolstered with the 88% buy and burn in fuel.
V3 or V2?
It's all V3.
V3. So there's no taxes on the pools.
No taxes. Yeah. I really wanted to have like a seamless user experience that didn't rely on taxes necessarily.
But there's still there's arbitrage opportunities because of the 2 pools. Well, maybe. I mean, possibly.
The price fixer bots will help to balance those out.
Right, exactly.
Which will create volume too between the pairs.
1-to-1, but you can exit out of X28 or TITANX, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll cover a little bit more in-depth details later on as we go through the white paper. But if you don't mind, Dave, going to the next, the minting details. Cool. So, like I said, the NFTs and the tokens are minted in parallel. So, after what this is going to do is essentially most of the supply is locked in the NFTs. Like, you understand how the hybrid NFTs work. So during this 8-day minting phase, there's going to be a liquidity pool there, but most of the user supply will be locked in these NFTs, which is really unique. Because when the buy and burn starts to do its thing, it can very easily push up the price. And again, this is not financial advice, but it will create a situation where the buy and burn actually has what I would call programmatic buy pressure built in. So we're not soaking up excess supply. What we're doing is we're adding buy pressure to the protocol to help push up the price in a very intelligent manner, I would say.
So will there be NFTs available to be minted after 8 days?
There will be no more NFTs. All the supply creation happens during the first 8 days.
So when you redeem your tokens in the Wyrmhole, are you burning your NFT or are you just sending it to the Wyrmhole?
What we call it is a swap, right? So you can swap your NFTs for tokens, or you can swap the Mizuchi token for NFTs. That's the way that we decided to do it versus just doing a burn of the NFT.
Because now the Wyrmhole fills up with NFTs that people can,
absolutely
buy.
Every NFT in a person's wallet essentially represents supply that's locked.
And at some point, since there's a burning mechanism, there won't be enough tokens to redeem all the NFTs in the Wyrmhole. So some will eventually just get locked up in the Wyrmhole. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, which is cool. So it makes the NFT collection deflationary as well.
Right. So the token and the NFT are both deflationary.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to go down to where the NFT minting tiers are, what we did here is that we really wanted to allow for any level of player to come into the system, right? So there's 8 different tiers, actually kind of similar to your Awesome X hybrid NFT mint. There's 8 different tiers starting at 10 million Mizuchi and going all the way up to 15 billion Mizuchi. And what I would say here is this offers a good opportunity for people to ladder their participation in, right? If they wanted to get, if they wanted to mix and match, they can basically get to whatever level that they want to get in terms of participation. 10 million Mizuki is like $5 right now, or 10 million X28, I should say, is like $5 right now. And then 15 billion is what, like $7,500.
Mm-hmm.
So it can really accommodate all users and all different kinds of size players in the system. So we thought that was going to be a really important factor.
Yeah, with part of that, Dave, was, and this was early on too, and Rudy was really on board, and I'm glad we went this route, was the idea to have those 8 tiers on such a wide scale based on cost was, in a sense, too, because we're taking ETH, TITANX, and X28. Really, if somebody wanted to even onboard here, they could do it with literally like $5 to $10.
That's
boom,
awesome.
They're in the system.
Right.
All right. They just locked up some tokens. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. All the tokens are pre-locked.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's like many accomplishments occur with as simple as $5 or $10.
So really on the market, like when this thing launches, there's really not going to be many tokens on the market. Is there a hold period for NFTs, or can you redeem at any point?
We'll get there.
Yep. So essentially, you're able to redeem your NFT. You're able to swap your NFT into tokens 24 hours after minting. So there's an earlier is better than later approach with this, because there's a 1-to-1 ratio. During the whole minting cycle. Essentially, the guys that are getting in sooner will have their NFTs being able to be fully unlocked. And I'll explain that within the Serpent's Due, which is kind of the magic sauce behind this whole protocol. Essentially, it's a vesting period for the NFTs. So if you mint an NFT you'll have to wait 28 days for these NFTs to be totally unlocked. And I'll get to that once we get there. If you don't mind, just going to the LP formation, we'll work through this in order.
Yeah.
So essentially, like I said, there's going to be two LP pools. One is that X28 Mizuchi LP pairing, and then the other one is a TITANX Mizuchi LP pairing. So it's set up very similarly to Shogun, where these pools will run in parallel. There's also going to be a third pool created with Legend X as a liquidity bonding strategy. And for everything that comes in, 88% goes to the buy, burn, and fuel. 4% is sent to Legend X buy and burn, which will create a perpetual buy and burn on Legend X. And 8% to Genesis, which is standard in TITANX. So what's really cool is what we decided to do with the LP pairings is for the Mizuchi X28 pair, all of the LP fees in Mizuchi will go to actually feed the perpetual auctions, and all of the X28 will go to actually help. It will get re-injected back into the buy, burn, and fuel contract, which is unique because I think a lot of tokens are either burning their LP pairs or LP fees, etc. We wanted to help use these LP fees to help feed the flywheel. For the TITANX pair, this is actually really cool as well. There's going to be essentially a liquidity injection contract. So every time that buy, burn, and fuel is triggered, it's almost like a buy and burn contract, but instead what this does is it sends 8% from that buy, burn, and fuel to this liquidity injection contract and gets triggered just like the buy and burn. But what it does is it helps to bolster the TITANX Mizuchi pair. So that pair could potentially get really, really thick. So it allows more of a seamless user interaction kind of potential where people are able to get into and purchase Mizuchi, whether they have X28 or TITANX, it doesn't really matter. They'll be able to use both routes. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool as well. So the TITANX Mizuchi pair will get fed from the buy, burn, and fuel with the liquidity injections, and all of the fees will get recompounded into that pool. So that I thought was really cool. So yeah, there's going to be 3 pairs, but 2 main pairs.
An equal amount of X28 will be okay. So it's 62.5 billion total to enter. No matter the first 6. Okay, gotcha. Will create the liquidity pool. So we have 25 billion X28 will be paired with 25 billion Mizuchi to create a primary pool. So that's your X28 Mizuchi pair. Then you got 25 billion X28 paired with TITANX for the TITANX Mizuchi pair. And this is this one goes to the buy, burn, and fuel contract, but this one is the liquidity injection smart contract. That's pretty cool. Yep. And then 5 billion X28 will purchase Legend X. Okay, so this is your Legend X X28. Oh no, it's a Legend X Mizuchi pair. Mm-hmm. Purchase Legend X and pair with 5 billion Mizuchi. Okay, and then the remaining 7.5 billion X28 will be distributed to Legend X buy and burn and the Genesis according to X28 distribution rules. Yeah, cool. Okay. So you're burning some Legend X with this too. Nice.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And once we get into the perpetual auctions, that will be a perpetual buy and burn on Legend X, which Legend X is doing really well in terms of optics. Like I think over 70% of the supply is locked in NFTs right now. And there's I think there's like 5 or 6% of the Legend X tokens in the liquidity pool. So it's very easy to move that Legend X price. With the 4% going to Legend X consistently and constantly, I would expect there to be some positive, a positive loop there, which I'm really excited to see. Again, not financial advice, but yeah, we're really excited to actually have that integration there.
So this smart contract allows you to compound the LP fees, basically.
Yes, exactly. Yes. The liquidity injection smart contract, essentially what it does is that it injects liquidity into the Mizuchi TITANX pair, and it also allows you to compound those fees through that pair as well. And that's it. There's no withdrawal or anything like that, external withdrawal. Those fees will be able to compound there forever.
So not only are the fees compounded, but it also gets injected by another 8% coming out of the
yeah, it's gonna be sick.
So that's the fuel part, is that 8% injection, really.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The fuel is also the feed in the perpetual auctions.
Correct.
Okay,
that's real fuel.
That's the real fuel.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
So let's go to the buy, burn, and fuel. So 88% of the X28 used from the perpetual auctions used to mint and from the perpetual auctions, right, will be used to buy, burn, and fuel the Mizuchi token. So each time the buy, burn, and fuel is triggered, 42% of the tokens are burned. Wow, cool. 50% of the Mizuchi is sent to the Mizuchi's hoard to be used for the daily auctions, and 8% is used to add to the secondary Mizuchi TITANX liquidity pool. This process sends X28 to a user-triggered liquidity injection contract, which swaps 50% for Mizuchi and 50% for TITANX and adds them to the liquidity pool. Yeah, that's really cool mechanic right there.
It's set up just like the buy and burns, where it's user triggered. There's a reward, and there's set interval and cap per swap, just like how all the standard buy and burns are set up. But again, what that does is help bolster that TITANX Mizuchi pairing. So if you want to go down a little bit, so during the first 8 days during the minting phase, day one, none of the buy and burn is going to be used. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of supply in the market. Day 2 through 8, 8% of the total buy, burn, and fuel balance will be used. I have to change the word in it there. And then from day 9 onwards, 16% is used each day, which is huge. And what we're trying to do is create a system where that auction pool is always getting refilled. So that's why we have, we're able to set the buy and burn a little bit higher, but we have 50% of every single time that buy and burn is triggered, 50% is going straight back to Mizuchi's hoard to recirculate the token. And the idea is that if we're able to feed Mizuchi's hoard enough through this mechanism and set the ratio between the buy and burn utilization and the daily auction utilization, that auction pool can always remain replenished and maybe even potentially grow, especially if the price of the token rises to a certain level. It's going to require more X28 to fill those auctions, and that's just more X28 to fill this entire protocol. Like I was saying on Callum's stream the other night, I really need to make which I'll be working on in the next few days, is a flow chart for how all of these flows work, right? What we're really trying to do is find an equilibrium between the buy and burn utilization on a daily basis and the auction utilization on a daily basis. So right now, after day 9, 16% of the total buy, burn, and recycle balance is used each day. 50% of all of that is going back in to feed Mizuchi's hoard, which is the auctions. And the auction utilization is set at 8% each day. So if you think about it and do the math, we're kind of feeding the auctions double, and what's getting used out of the auctions, it really should provide an equilibrium basis for potentially maybe even the auction balances to grow over time, which would be really exciting to see, because that's just more fuel for the entire protocol to keep running.
Yeah. It's being fed from multiple places, basically simultaneously in one sense.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And actually, there's something that it was important that I didn't mention during the minting cycle, during the 8-day minting cycle. At the end of the minting cycle, essentially what feeds the initial push for the auctions is there's 22% of basically what the smart contract will do is it'll calculate how much has been minted, and it'll mint an additional 22% to Mizuchi's hoard. So that's like our initial base. And then we have the LP fees feed in Mizuchi's hoard. We have this Serpent's Dew feed in Mizuchi's hoard, which we'll get into, which are the two main sources of fuel for that to keep going. So the auctions are set up very similarly to, say, like Volt, which people are very familiar with. Essentially, they're 24 hours each. All the tokens are distributed at the same time at the start of each day. 8% of the tokens are available for users to auction for on a daily basis, which, again, we're trying to find that equilibrium between the buy and burn utilization and the auction utilization. There are 2 admin keys in the smart contract. It's literally the buy and burn utilization. We can adjust that from 3 to 20%, and the auction utilization we can adjust from 3 to 20% as well. Yep. And that will help us once we see how things are running with user participation, etc. That will give us a good baseline so we can figure out what is that optimal level to keep so that we can continually feed those auctions. So we wanted to have some flexibility there. And at some point, if we find a number that works, like right now it's set at 8 and 16%. At some point, if we find a number that works, and we can just renounce those keys and just let it run on its own. But we wanted to have a little bit of flexibility there so we could see how participation went, et cetera, and make sure that those auctions are always getting filled in an efficient manner, because that's what fuels this whole protocol.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Versus just like it's scary just to pick numbers and say, okay, this is good, I hope it works, right? So
and also not giving yourself a certain amount of control, because as you're we're seeing kind of some of these buy and burns kind of being held a little bit for the proper timing of utilization, which there is a sense of that too. I mean, there is proper timing of certain utilizations of buy and burns. There's also definitely some variables that can come into play that it's like, okay, well, there might be a benefit to this being a better ROI if we reduce or increase this at some point. So as you get going, you can kind of really tune it in and fine tune it. And really, it's not like all you can do is adjust value cap and stuff and slippage and these percentages. It's not like these aren't like back doors where you can, the admin keys just allow you to change percentages of user called functions, right?
Yeah, it's very specific. Again, it's daily auction utilization percentage and total percentage of the buy and burn used each day. And the whole idea behind that is that we're able to find a balance between the two so that the auctions are always getting filled. That the auction pool is always getting filled, and as long as those auction pools getting filled, there's more fuel for the fire to keep everything moving. Yeah. So, yeah, we thought it was really important to have some control there, obviously within full transparency of what we're doing. But yeah, it's really exciting because like I put a ton of thought into this, and the reason being is that if the auction utilization is too high, right? Like those pools, the tokens that are getting used in that pool is set too high, then the auctions are going to deplete themselves really, really quickly. And say like 30 days in, we don't want to be in a situation where we need to feel like we have to necessarily just build another helper protocol on top of it to help feed those auctions. We would rather this be an entire self-contained system that works well independently from everything else. And that's the whole purpose of being able to adjust those caps, is to, again, make sure that this thing can always feed itself, right? And like I said, within the next few days, I'll work on a flow chart, and it's really interesting just how this all will flow. I've tried to run some simulations, and the way that it's set up should really run for a long time. But if you have to adjust like a few percent here and there, I think that's where the magic can start to happen.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool, man. I mean, yeah, I love there really is a ton of variables. Like you said, Ted, there's a lot of variables that you're thinking about as you're running through this, but that's because this protocol is full of variables. That's actually the game theory of it, is all the variables that kind of layer on top of each other to create something that is going to be fun to interact with, and also deflationary. So it's
very deflationary,
aggressively
solid foundation of a DeFi protocol with some, obviously really cool art and really cool mechanics and some very innovative. I mean, these mechanics have never ever been seen before in NFT. Like, this is like a
not at all
NFT with brand new innovative mechanics.
Yeah, this has definitely not been done, but coming from a lot of experience and doing the hybrid NFTs, watching other projects, and how they're, say like running their auctions, etc. There was so much to learn and so much to improve on, and that's where we really wanted to capitalize.
The one of the things I want to chime in is that with this, the mechanics, yes, they're phenomenal, and yeah, they will keep you up at night, and they have. But I mean, seriously, they have. But I guess what was, I guess where I'm going with that is when we were actually running through the thought process initially, the very beginning, I think one of the things that actually interests me the most about kind of joining forces with Rudy was, I'm a big NFT guy. I've always been a big fan of art and NFTs, and I knew his background with the NFT thing. So when that all came together, and we kind of, I that was definitely one thing I knew that we had in common. But as we dove deeper and deeper into this, and the more quiet he got, and the more little messages I would get in Telegram, like, this is going to be sick. I got to think about this. And then he'd go silent for a little while, and he'd come back. Oh my God, check this out. And it just started happening. And then I was like getting lost in it because it became so complex. And then he broke it down to me, and I was like, I don't think anything like this has ever been done.
No,
ever.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, this is cutting edge.
Cool. It's cool. So his experience and his passion for NFTs and art and stuff is kind of a big part of what drew me to him as wanting to partner with him.
Definitely. If you got to do an NFT project, reach out to Rudy.
He's the NFT guy.
Yeah, he's probably going to say he's too busy, but maybe not.
I wasn't planning on doing another project until Ted approached me with this, and I sat down and, started spitballing some ideas and came up with what's, the Mizuchi white paper now. And I was like, dude, we got to do this. Like, we have to do this. Like, this is awesome. This is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, man, I love what you guys are doing. I mean, this is very cool. And it's, ultimately it's pretty straightforward and simple. It's really Legends with an engine. It's like, not really, but like, it's different, but it's like, it's a hybrid NFT protocol that's capped after 8 days with an engine, and the engine will keep it going. And the mechanics and the engine of the perpetual daily auctions on a cap supply, which when Steve brought that innovation to the ecosystem, the hybrid NFTs you've been innovating, and Steve innovated with the capped supply daily auctions with Volt. Now we're all kind of utilizing these capped daily supply auctions in one way or the other, and starting to innovate on top of them because they're really genius. It's a genius setup. The perpetual cap supply daily auctions. And I didn't love them before, but as I'm as a participant, because I like to know how much I'm getting, which is actually what I also like about your 8-day minting period. It's like you're it's a straight mint for 8 days.
You're not a minting guy, aren't you, Dave? Don't you favor minting or mining or something? Or
yeah, I love mining and I love minting. I am gaining an affinity for auctions lately, only because there's so many cool auction protocols that we have now in TITANX. So, I'm now learning how to define a strategy for auctions that I kind of personally like. But, I didn't have one of those before. I had never, ever done an auction. Blaze was the first time I ever did an auction. I didn't really know what I was doing. And then Volt, I did that. So, yeah, I really like the game theory involved in this stuff. And as you really learn what's underneath the hood, for me, I like it more. When I see what's underneath the hood, I like it more. Some people don't need to see what's under the hood, but for me, it's fascinating, these mechanics. So I love like everything you're bringing together into one hybrid NFT protocol with an engine that will keep it going and keep, hopefully, like you said, the idea is to keep reducing the supply so the green candles appear. I mean, that's
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, just in the pure fact that most of the supply is going to be locked in those NFTs, that it's a really unique way to incorporate with the buy and burn, the engine, like we've been talking about, to actually produce true programmatic buy pressure, right? When you have a largely locked supply token, and say like at the end of the minting phase, if we're at 5 or 10% of the Mizuchi tokens in the LP pool of the total supply, that buy and burn can do a lot for price appreciation. And that's really why we wanted to make it so exclusively towards the buy and burn. Like, yeah, we could have incorporated rewards with the NFTs, etc., which I think are great. But at the end of the day, I think that people understand the idea of like just your pure gains, right? Like, would you rather get, a couple $100 in rewards, or would you rather have a couple $1,000 in gains? Like that's where you have to kind of balance that. So we really wanted to, again, really have a heavy focus on that 88% always coming back in, always recirculating through the system, etc.
And DragonX focused on that, focused on a price appreciation, not rewards. And look what it's done. I mean,
yeah.
So when you're the rewards seem nice, and they're nice sometimes, but it's also like, yeah, price appreciation is really what we're all looking for.
Yeah, we want to paint a nice chart with this, and I think that it'll be very competitive with a lot of the other tokens that are out there in a big way, because something like this hasn't been done before. Again, with the large mass portion of the supply being locked initially. And yes, actually, I'd like to actually continue this because the most important part we're almost at. Essentially, when you own an NFT, you're able to swap back and forth with the token. You can either swap the NFT for Mizuchi tokens, or you can swap TITANX X28 or Mizuchi back into the NFTs later on. So that will help to keep an equilibrium with the supply lockups. So that's basically this portion. The most important part of this whole protocol is the next part, which is the Serpent's Due. If you don't mind clicking that. The Serpent's Due is essentially a vesting period for the NFTs. So this is to encourage long-term participation within the protocol. And it starts at roughly about 55% and reduces 2% daily until it reaches 3% after 28 days. So when the timer starts as soon as you mint an NFT. So if you mint an NFT at the very, very beginning, your tokens will become unlocked soon. And then say the guy that mints on day 8. And what this does is it encourages users to stay in the system. Now, because because it starts at 55%, what I suspect what will end up happening is that the Mizuchi token should trade at a 2-to-1 ratio with X28. So therefore, when people are getting in, they're not getting in underwater. They're getting in right at 0. And then at that point, the NFT will essentially grow and give them more supply if they're willing to wait the full 28-day term. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is kind of where the magic happens, because it really encourages people to hold on for a longer period of time. If we're trading at a 2-to-1 ratio, the ROI on minting an NFT should never really fall much below 100%. Right. And the way that you get that 100% ROI in terms of your Mizuchi tokens is by waiting the full 28 days. And then essentially, so if you were going to claim your tokens early or swap into tokens earlier with your NFT, the forfeited tokens actually go to feed that go to feed the perpetual auctions. So that's where the flywheel really starts to work, is because we have that big influx from people forfeiting that will go to feed the perpetual auctions, that goes to feed the buy and burn and buys all that supply back up and recirculates it through the system. So we thought 28 days was really apt because it's not too long of a time. It's not like we're asking people to hold for a year. You know, if you want to hold for a year, great. But what we are really encouraging people to do is let this thing have its training wheels so that it can find natural price appreciation very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really important for people to understand, is that the vesting schedule isn't necessarily, like I said, it's not like you start underwater. If we're trading at a 2-1 ratio, like your what you can put in, what you can get out is basically the same for those first 8 days. And again, that NFT will technically grow in supply over 28 days.
Yeah.
This is the magic sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Makes it a little bit easier decision.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool mechanic. That's what we had when you launched the hybrid side of Legends too.
Yep.
It also says that it doesn't apply if you go into the wormhole and buy. So say you buy Mizuchi tokens off the market, and then you go into the wormhole and you buy a Mizuchi NFT after day 8. That's not going to apply though. At that
yes, exactly. It just applies for that initial supply creation. And then we didn't want to deter people from getting into NFTs. So we made an exception for like after day 9, the wormhole will be open for token to NFT swaps.
Mm-hmm.
And those NFTs will be exempt from that Serpent's Due, because we don't want people to be underwater, you know, and have to take essentially a 50% hit through that mechanism. So we created, and it's very, very clear on the D app. Once it's out there, there's all of them have a little number in the corner that shows exactly, you know, what the Serpent's Due is. But yeah, we wanted to encourage people to go in via NFTs if they wanted to, because that only helps to lock supply.
You just broke up at the end. You said it locks up supply.
Sorry. That just helps to lock supply even more, you know, people going in through NFTs. So there's going to be a lot of ways to participate in this. But the Serpent's Due is very, very important to understand. Again, you know, if we're trading at a 2-to-1 ratio, which I would expect, I wouldn't expect it to be traded much below that. Your supply share of the supply is going to be a lot greater. And again, there's earlier is better than later, because the guys that minted on day 1, their tokens will become fully unlocked sooner than the guys that minted on day 8. So I would encourage people to get in earlier than later.
Right. So day 8 would actually be 28 days after day 8.
So up to day 36. Yeah. And on day 36 is when we plan on listing it on the Titan Legends marketplace, and that will encourage over-the-counter trading, so people can actually sell their NFTs without having to sell into the chart. But we're only going to do that on day 36 is produce that listing so that it doesn't become too confusing within the whole system.
Right.
For the first 36 days, people can interact and get in and out of NFTs solely through the Mizuchi D app.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Utah says it's a 28-day vesting period is a cool idea. It's kind of like a little bit like, in a way, staking, but not staking.
Yeah. It allows, again, for the NFT to grow. Like I got a lot of inspiration from that, not only because I did a similar thing with Titan Legends, but the whole mint was a lot different than this. And then further got inspiration from ORX with their vesting cycle, which is super, super smart. You know, I think the tokenomics on ORX are impenetrable. Like they're so good, and it really encourages people to participate for a longer period of time. But like I said, I didn't want to make it like a whole year, right? Rather, let's make it 28 days and let this thing start with training wheels, and then we can take the training wheels off and just let it run. So we're going to have an initial, for people that are forfeiting early, we'll have a lot of all of those forfeited tokens going in to feed the perpetual auctions, which people can auction for. That brings more X28 into the system that can be used. Again, this is all about programmatic buy pressure, like true programmatic buy pressure, where we're not trying to soak up excess supply, but instead add buy pressure into the protocol, which will help to push up the price.
Yeah, buy and burns definitely do that, and other programmatic buy pressures definitely do add to green candles. We've seen that clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Every 5 minutes, this thing will get triggered, and that only again goes to feed the auctions. It goes to feed the whole system, and yeah, again, this Serpent's Dew is kind of the magic sauce behind this. So I really want people to understand, the idea of truly people that mint NFTs will be keeping supply off of those market for at least the first 36 days. And that buy and burn can really help the token price appreciation.
Mm-hmm. I love it, guys. This is really great.
Yeah, I'm pumped on it. I'm so pumped on it. I can't even like again, I'm going to be dropping a lot of alpha on the Mizuchi X handle. Just in sheer terms of like how effective a buy and burn can be when you don't have a lot of sell pressure, right? So we have not only a cap supply token,
yeah, that's right. You don't have a lot of sell pressure because everything's locked up in the NFTs. Yeah, and you have programmatic buy pressure without a lot of sell pressure, which, yeah, exactly, that can lead to some beautiful things.
Yeah, and it'll happen really quick. Again, a very short minting phase. And then if people want to get into the auctions after that, it allows them to get in at a very fair price. It allows for expansion of the not only like the market cap, but of the entire system. It's going to be really interesting to see this all come together. I keep running the scenarios in my head. Again, I've run some simulations for how it could run. And as long as those auctions are constantly getting filled, there's always going to be fuel to keep this going.
And then actually with the auctions, depending on, and Rudy had mentioned it earlier, earlier is better. So that's a key. But then one of the other things too is, when it comes time to claim, if you say you want to try and get in on the auction with an hour left or something like that, whatever, if you try to sneak in at the very end, we have actually built in the mechanics to actually hold that. I'm going to mute. You want to explain that? Clock's going off, Rudy.
Yeah, no worries. Essentially what he was explaining is that there's a 1 hour cooldown during the auctions, and it's very similar to how Matrix is set up. What we've seen a lot in auctions is that bots will try to enter in last minute and capture the ROI and insta dump. So if you participate in the auctions in the last hour, you actually have to wait an extra hour to claim your tokens. And what that's going to do is deter bot interaction. And, what we want to see happen is if there's an ROI at the end of the auction, we want to see that go to a user and not necessarily to somebody, a bad actor in the system, just trying to participate, insta dump, and then recirculate. So yeah, there's a 1 hour cooldown in the auction, which I think will.
If you're a person or a bot, if you enter in the last hour, you have to wait 1 hour after the auction ends to claim.
Yep, exactly. So that should really help to deter bot action. And, it's just an hour. So just take into consideration, guys, if you're watching this and you want to participate in the auctions, is that if you do get in the say if you have multiple auction deposits during the day, if any one of those is within the last hour, you will have to wait an extra hour to claim your tokens. And that's just the way that the smart contracts work. And that's the way that it made sense to actually code this. But we really wanted to, again, if there's a ROI there for a user, say if they participated, 4 hours before the end of the auction, well, if there's an ROI there, we'd rather see the user getting the ROI instead of the bots getting the ROI.
Yeah, that's great. definitely.
So
Squeezing
yeah,
all the juice out.
what's that?
We're just making sure we get all the juice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really important. Yeah, every little piece of this is really well thought out. Again, I'll be dropping a lot of alpha. I'll be discussing the flows of the system, how everything goes back into feed itself, and how essentially this is something that could run on its own, and that's what I'm really excited about. So anything that we decide to build in the future will only be an additive and not necessarily something that just needs to get done so that we're trying to preserve what we have. We want this to run really well on its own. And in the future, especially with like X28 going omni-chain, what we'd like to maybe do in the future is if Mizuchi does really well on ETH, like imagine having Mizuchi on or an iteration of Mizuchi on Pulse Chain or Base, etc. All of those things can come back in and feed the mothership to only help Mizuchi even further.
Yeah. I really like the idea of potentially, if we can get over to Base soon using X28, then we can do a little bit more complicated games and other things that are on chain over there on Base because the fees are so freaking low.
Yeah, it's a great way to bring people into the system too. What I would like to see happen is that, okay, I think people look in crypto always look to see the past predicting future results. Well, if you look at Mizuchi on ETH, on X28 on ETH, and you're like, oh, wow, these guys are launching a version of this on a different chain. And it did, and we'll say the one on ETH does really, really well. Well, because the tokenomics are really good, if it's on Base or Pulse Chain, now you already have a basis for people to understand the protocol, how it works, how it could unfold. And if those do really well on those other chains, then those can all go back in to feed. There can be a percentage that can go back and feed the buy and burn on the one on ETH.
And then you can only produce a Mizuchi wheel because you're on Pulse Chain and Base and ETH.
Yeah, it could truly be incredible, and I think that's going to be a really important part for new users that aren't necessarily in TITANX right now to see. Like past results don't always indicate future results, but if the tokenomics are really good and sound, and this project really works well here, well, why wouldn't it work well on other chains?
Right.
We already have a track record at that point.
Like season 2, it's like you do a round of artwork, on Pulse Chain and a different round of artwork on Base.
Exactly.
People have almost a collector. Then there could even possibly be a protocol in the middle where you could collect all the different chain stuff, and maybe there's a horde that has all the chain stuff, and who knows. But
yeah, it could get really crazy, and I just think like having a track record is super important to start with. So this is like where all of our focus is going into Mizuchi on ETH, and now when we go omni-chain, if there's an opportunity to launch on,
you're on X28. I mean, so you're already prepped and ready to go because you're Mizuchi's paired with X28 already.
Yep.
That's actually what we're doing with some of our protocols too. Is we're doing multiple LPs, an X28 LP with AwesomeX, and then also an AwesomeX another pair. So it's like we're not doing exactly what you guys are doing, but I think having that X28 pair is going to somehow be really beneficial moving forward. I'm not, more than just being able to reduce the pathway. We're doing it for a very specific reason, but I think there's going to be multiple benefits that we're going to find from doing that moving forward.
Well, it's a whole new audience.
It's a new opportunity. Exactly.
I mean, we're talking brand new. So really the only way to go is up.
Yeah.
In a sense, because to Rudy's point, and I totally concur, they can look back and they can look at the data and what TITANX has done and everything that's been built off of it and what it's doing and, how it's functioning. I mean, you're looking at something that has a foundation and a proven track record. That would give me, if I was actually going to take a little time and do some homework on a Base platform, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going in.
Right.
I think it's brilliant.
Exactly. We're building some roots. And then when we go out to the other platforms, which I guess, Jake's been saying that he has, he's got, obviously he's got plans.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know, but he did say he's waiting and he's probably going to roll them out each chain, at a certain point. So I'm not sure what that even looks like yet, but I don't know, man.
This Mizuchi is just the first chapter of a great story.
Sweet.
And speaking of, I heard you're going to be writing a book or something.
Yeah.
And, I'm honored that you reached out and asked for me to participate.
Yeah.
And I will be definitely incorporating very much of what we're discussing right now in my write-up.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm working on it. So when do you need it?
ASAP. I mean, like within the first week or so of January, maybe 2 weeks of January.
Okay.
I'm working on it right now. It's obviously projects are bigger than you think when you jump in, but it's called DeFi 3.0. And really, when I'm researching DeFi 3.0, I'm like really thinking about what does that really look like? There's been other people that have coined it, said DeFi 3.0 for certain particular reasons, but our version of the 3.0 in this side of it is I'm looking at, okay, what was 1.0, what was 2.0, and what is 3.0 in DeFi? And it's similar to, Web 1, 2, and 3, because Web 3 is that financial layer of the internet. But DeFi, number one, was really, I think it was Uniswap, basically. Like when Uniswap first came out, that was really DeFi 1.0. And then 2.0 was really, I think, when we could start really like staking and getting all these different kinds of protocols to play with. But the 3.0 on our side, in my opinion, and this is what I'm really interested in everybody's opinions on, is fair launch and hyperdeflation combined with decentralized finance. So when you have decentralized finance, fair launch, yes, but decentralized finance, fair launch plus hyperdeflation, that gives us the three. The three is the decentralized finance, hyperdeflation plus the fair launch. And hyperdeflation is not always necessary for protocols. However, we are pioneering in that hyperdeflation area. So in my opinion, I'm in DeFi for multiple reasons, but the 3.0 side is really what I'm falling in love with because it's the fair launch. But it's not just fair launch. It's fair launch paired with hyperdeflation and solid mechanics. And the fair launch mechanics are the ethos alone. Really, the ethos is the three. The ethos is the DeFi 3.0. When you really look at the ethos with all of the ethos as a whole, it incorporates fair launch, but fair launch also incorporates, not really stealth audits, more, it encourages, transparency. We have audits. We fund protocols first. We don't ask for funding. And then we launch protocols. Really, we give people some notice of when they're going to launch. And we give people a certain amount of time to distribute the supply.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what do you guys think about what is DeFi 3.0 to you?
I technically never heard of it until TITANX came around.
I think that's why we're.
And then we dove. Yeah, and as we evolved, if you will, and we continue to evolve, and we will, for the foreseeable future. I can't imagine us not. But I started hearing hints of it probably around, I don't know, September. I think is when I first started to hear hints of it, and then it became more predominant as we got closer to 280. And then it became kind of resident from there. It became more common, and now it's actually something that we're kind of broadcasting to the rest of the world from our stage. Is that you go to TITANX.win or some of the other sites and stuff, you're seeing that DeFi 3.0, and it raises an eyebrow. Who are these guys?
What does it mean?
What are they thinking? What is 3.0? So I think it's still being. I think we understand it from our perspective, but I do think it's still something that's evolving.
And that's why I like to kind of create a book to just put it, hey, this is what I would say it is, because when you're looking at, and not just me, I want to see what everybody is, really the consensus. I kind of just want to pose that idea of what is it exactly, because Hex, I would consider Zen and Hex to both be DeFi 2.0, because they are in the second phase of DeFi. They were what was, fair launch came in from Zen. That was huge. And then really the Hex model was staking and, being able to earn yield on your money. And there was a small deflationary aspect in Hex, but then it's like we get TITANX that comes together and Jake brings hyperdeflation along with the fair launch and the ethos. And so that's really where I'm thinking the 3.0 lies, in the combination of all the things that are the best of everything with nothing else.
Yeah, I and just to add to this, I just jotted down a few ideas, but I think the concept is fair launch is really important. Supply creation, being able to create your own supply. Also, in terms of like building, right? Like we're building machines. You're not interacting with humans, you're interacting with smart contracts. And that is the whole basis of DeFi in general, is the idea of the smart contract. Being able to do things that are coded, like pure DeFi, just things that are coded in. And when you interact with it, you're not giving your money to a guy and they're not making the decisions on your behalf. You're making decisions based on your knowledge of a system and how it could work. So again, yeah, fair launch, machines, and then the last one is no middlemen, right? There's no guy in between that's making decisions based on what they think. It's more so making smart contracts, making decisions based on what they're programmed to do. So I think those are three really important parts. There's a lot that goes into it, though, and I think it's a really safer, interesting concept.
It makes it a safer environment to participate in because of the ethos, with the ethos being locked LPs. And, the bonded liquidity came from Richard Hart, kind of started that thing. But, yeah, I mean, we have all of this. Locked LPs is huge. And I mean, these are locked forever. Like we're never, like no founder's ever going to be able to touch their LPs, which is like great. It's for the community. It's for people to trade back and forth in these LPs. It's not for a founder to be able to rug it at some point. And so there's a lot of safety mechanisms built into the ethos to where I feel more comfortable bringing in new people into this ecosystem than I've ever felt before in any other ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah. A safe space is really important in crypto, just based on the TITANX ethos. Like there's just so much shit out there and so much manipulation, supply control, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Granted, people can do really well on them, but the mass majority of people that are getting involved with memes and stuff are getting smoked. Yeah. that's just the truth. That's what happens. Right. And having these systems and machines in place where you can interact with somebody and you're not worried about what the founder is going to do, et cetera. Like this thing should speak for itself based on the code. And
it's code providing ROIs in super cool, fun ways. It's like we're actually able to like gamify ROI within a fun protocol that is literally hands off once we launch it. It's like once we like birth it into the blockchain, like it's there. People can participate in it. And it's not, we don't really have any more control at that point. Our control goes away when we're done building it. And after we've audited it and pushed it out there, it's like day one, if we want in, we got to participate with everybody else. That's the other thing about fair launch that I really like is like founders, we're buying in on day one because we believe in the protocol that we just built.
Yeah, that's huge. Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, I love it. I love what you guys are doing. We got 90 people on the stream, probably more.
Awesome.
I don't know if these numbers are always accurate, but yeah, thank you guys, everybody, for watching. This is amazing. So Mizuchi, we got some big plans. We got some great mechanics. We're imminent on the launch in one sense, because you guys are in audits. You're working on some UI testing and final UI designs and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited.
It's exciting. This is like the most fun part. I love working on projects. I love putting things together. I like building cool things, and I love taking a step back at the end of it and admiring it.
Yeah,
and just really excited to get this out there to the TITANX community and create something that everybody can get behind. Like there's a lot of unity and synchronicities and people say just reading this white paper, right, and understanding the subtle points and everything that comes across. Like, we're already familiar with a lot of these things, but we're presenting this in a way that's not only simple, but in a way that's never been done before. And again, this idea of lock supply and programmatic buy pressure built into the protocol, and the idea of things being able to be done perpetually is really important as well. This isn't just something that's going to be here for a couple weeks or a month. This is something that we want to run for a really, really long time. And we have all of the tools to continue innovating and building and adding things to it that will actually make it the best that it can possibly be. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Heck yeah, man. I love it.
Absolutely. I second that motion.
So
it's exciting.
If you guys aren't following us yet on Twitter, make sure that you go to the Mizuchi Win handle, smash that follow button, take some time to read the white paper. At this point, we've done quite a few streams discussing the white paper. We're going to be doing a lot more, just really getting into the pure mechanics and everything behind it. If you're a streamer, we want to stream with you. We want to make you bullish on Mizuchi. It has something. We have something here that hasn't been done before, and offers people a really good opportunity to make more TITANX, right? Like, just that I think that's the idea of build on TITANX in general, is to produce more TITANX and for your bags. And again, not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. Everything's very theoretical and theory. But we think that we produced something here that's really intelligently designed and fun to participate in, and you can grow with us as we continue to unfold this chapter of Mizuchi.
Indeed. And to further add to Rudy's comments, I mean, we really wanted to build something for the people, literal, in a way, from like we get into the tier of the NFTs from $10 to 7,500. You can mix and match, you can do whatever you want. And the UI design has made it super friendly, easy to understand. A lot of information is presented to the user. So we've all been rugged. It sucks. That's why we're here. We're in a stable, safe environment. And really, the thought behind this build and working with Rudy was just to build something for the people. If they participate, it will reward. Period. Participation is key. And once it's locked and loaded, like Rudy's referring and I refer to, and I will say, and this is not financial advice, but it'll run for a very long time. It potentially could run for a very long time. And it's designed for the people of our community to participate in, to have that as a resource to turn to. So to Rudy's point, yes, we put a lot of thought and quite a bit of our heart into it. And I'm just being truthful.
Yeah, I can tell.
Absolutely.
Cool, guys.
And
go ahead.
Just to add to that, there's a competitive spirit in crypto. Like, granted, we're all building together, but we really want Mizuchi to stand out and be like something that people remember. I've been working in this space for a long time. I mean, most people know me in TITANX in general, and I plan for this to be a success, and I'm very competitive with that idea of success. And yeah, I really want to see a chart with some amazing green candles.
It'd be great.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I've been on day one on everything, so not everything in the ecosystem anymore, but everything you've done. So I'm Mizuchi.
This one's special, man. This one's really special. I'm excited.
I've been just on a quick note. I've been doing a lot of research, and I have done research, and I am seeing a definite turn in the NFT market as a whole. That yes, it had its heyday and stuff, but there's been a refinement in the market. There's a different class of investor, and some of them are people that are looking for liquid backed assets, NFTs, something that they know not only are they getting a quality piece of artwork, or it could look like a piece of crap, who knows what people are interested in, but they know that there's a value behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is actually a market it's really starting to grow more and more, I should say, interest, if you will. I'm looking at chat groups that are I've been visiting on a regular basis. The audiences are getting bigger. The questions are getting more technical. So there is something there. There is a shift, and it could be a resurgence to the NFT industry in a sense that in time, as it gains more adoption and people do see that there's value to this piece of art, that could be beneficial to them long term. Hey, timing could be great, and that's what we're hoping for as well.
These are nothing like what the old NFTs were.
No,
this is very different. There's actual value to these NFTs, and that's really never been the case the last cycle. The hybrid NFTs this cycle, it's different.
Yeah,
it's definitely pioneering, and this is actually pioneering on top of the initial innovation of hybrids. This is actually taking hybrids to a whole new level. In the same cycle, I mean, there's so much innovation that happens very quickly, actually. So quickly. But it's fascinating, yeah, because these NFTs actually, it's gonna come into play in the real world stuff. It is, and so this is kind of like paving that way for attaching value to NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
The specific value, like this is token value, but when you tokenize you can tokenize a Nolan Ryan baseball, and then somehow do a hybrid NFT of that. Like eventually, like this will lend to moving forward to real world assets.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this concept of liquid value with the NFTs, and I mean, in terms of Mizuchi, it's a really innovative way to help lock up supply, and I'll emphasize that forever. It's an extremely efficient way to do so,
to lock up supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing it in a cool way, man. I mean, honestly, because every parent says their child is perfect, right? So, but this particular parent likes to ask other parents what they think, so a lot of this process that Rudy and I've been going through, like I'll get information from Rudy, or I'll get some samples of art or whatever. It isn't just a desktop decision on my end. I'm going out and I'm running it by, and Rudy can attest to this, because I'd be like, my entire family and the waitress agree to this one, or whatever. It's like I'm getting perspectives from outside, on what we're doing, and just from a graphical standpoint. And people are like, nah, I'm not down. I'm not down with it. Or their comments are being folded into this as well, and they really don't even realize what they're doing. But it's just like everybody has a little bit of a view of what it is that we're doing, and as we got closer and we became more refined in some of the final pieces, people were like, "Wow, that's like, wow."
Yeah, it's a wow. It's definitely,
it's like it wasn't just something that the two of us kind of came up with. It was like an artist is involved, concepts are involved, discussions, and now people from all over the place, at least in my world, I've been showing them and asking their thoughts and ideas on, what do you think of this picture? What do you think? Just randomly. Oh, it's pretty cool. What's cool about it? And I'll ask them. Oh, this is all right. So yeah, I mean, this goes back to the ADHD of me. It's just like in the engineer. I keep digging. But yeah, so I guess when these come out, hopefully people will appreciate everything.
I think so. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited.
So
we got 100 people on this stream. Thanks for everybody joining. This is getting some good Mizuchi alpha. Definitely go to Mizuchi Win on X and give them a follow, and then check out so it's Mizuchi Win, MIZUCHI Win on X, and then here you can find the Telegram, and you can find on this pinned link the white paper. So guys, give them a follow, check them out. What do we got? Final closing words here for everybody.
I'll take it. All right. So for those that you tuned in, thank you so much. Really, we do appreciate it. It's a busy time of year. I'm currently in the Mizuchi Telegram. We're at 296 members. So if all of you in the audience, 100, maybe 80, if I could get 3 of you to swing on in, maybe, or 400 or 500 to swing on in and join the group, that'd be wonderful. We'd really appreciate it, because there's a lot of good information that's being put in there. Any updates, that's going to be the primary spot to get them. But hopefully everybody had a great holiday season. Dave, thank you so much for hosting. Rudy, always a pleasure working with you and everything. And we're really looking forward to bringing Mizuchi to the forefront. And once this little water serpent pokes its head up for a breath, it's going to be a big one.
It'll be a big splash.
Indeed it will. So let the water roll. That's all I got, man. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. What about you?
Yeah, thank you as always, Dave. It's always a pleasure, man, and excited to see what you have up your sleeves. I know you're working on a ton of stuff right now, and yeah, just really excited to be a part of this builder community and putting something out there that's quality, that hasn't been done before, and that's unique. Something that's really unique and resonates very, very much with myself and with Ted, and hopefully with the rest of the TITANX community. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited to get this out there, and make sure that you're following us and you read the white paper. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out in DMs. Even you can reach out through the Mizuchi Telegram. We're always happy to discuss.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, guys, yeah, I'm stoked what you're doing. I'm going to be in on day one also, so stoked on that.
Let's go.
Guys, stay tuned for to the Mizuchi Telegram, and also for the X account, so you can get all the actual dates when those are going to launch, which is pretty soon. And yeah, guys, get excited. There's so much fun stuff coming. Mizuchi is just breaking the barriers of innovation on hybrid NFTs and engines behind them to make them more valuable over time. So love it, guys. Thanks
All
again.
Right. Hold on real quick. I'm going to make an announcement. Rudy, you haven't been part of this thought process. It's just something I kind of came up with over the past couple of days. Prior to launch, I will be running a 24-hour straight TITANX Lounge. All right.
24 hours straight?
Straight.
No
I will
sleep?
be doing that straight, and I will be inviting a variety of whoever wants to come. But I've put a lot of myself into this project, and I have a lot of belief and faith in it. And to prove it, I'm going to do it for 24 hours, and I'm just going to host. And if I'm just sitting there by myself reading the paper, hop on in. I'll tell you what I'm reading. But I'm going to go 24 hours straight.
Nice.
And I'm marking it. Today's what? The 28th of December. Prior to launch, I will do it. I do have a TITANX Lounge coming up this coming Tuesday. Guest is yet to be announced because he hasn't confirmed yet. But if not, I'll definitely have somebody. But prior to the launch, I'll be doing a 24-hour stream, and I want to let you all know.
Awesome.
Badass. All right, cool. I just learned about this, so
yeah, dude.
I'll be there.
No, it was all the sleepless nights, man. I was like, what could be the fun? Like maiden voyage on a ship, what do? They break a bottle of champagne, you know? I mean, it's like, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in exhausted. So I'm going to put every ounce of energy I got into this. And if it's 24 hours of just talking to myself, then I'm going to do it.
I love it.
Let's go. All right,
So
cool.
Cool, guys.
That's
well, thanks so much for everybody. Yeah, let us know about the 24-hour stream, man. I'll definitely jump on.
Cool.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. Have a happy new year. Get ready for 2025. It's coming. Stay strong. The end of this year is kind of like, it's always a little rough ending, and then it'll jump into January, and I think we're in for a good surprise. So stay tuned. But until next time, my name is Dave. Crypto Awesome out.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.